And here we are again. Welcome back. Today we're going to add even more to our map game, our adventure game. Let's see. So far we've made the map. We can move around the map. We've added items to the map. Now we need to be able to get the items, add them to our inventory, carry them around, be able to drop items. So that is what we're going to work on today. So if we put up our code back over here, bing, here we go. Looking in our adventure game, we've got a place in our map blocks to store the items that it has, such as right here, an item count and the items here on each block. But I need them too. So over the player. And in the future, we're looking at other non-player characters, non-player characters, NPCs, we call them in the other world. The ones are computer-controlled characters. Yes, we're going to get there. Well, they'll need to have items too. So if we're going to have there's us and there's them, and we need to kind of be able to do the same thing. Just one, we're controlling. They're controlling. So guess what? It sounds like we need another class for holding people or players, whether they're user characters or non-player characters. So let's start off. How do we do that? Well, we make sure we're on our adventure project, and we're going to say File, New, Class. And this time, we need a player. Let's spell it right. Now, only one capital letter, the P. There we go. Player. Here we are. And we finish that. And we have a new class player. As we're keeping up with a player, well, once again, we can do a title and a description of who we are. And if it's us, I don't know, we might want to look at ourselves and give a description of what we look like, right? I don't know. We'll need our inventory. And we'll also need, I don't know where we are, or the other characters, where they are on the map. Instead of associating, they're going to be free moving of their own, so they will need to keep up where they are. And each one will have locations off of them. So they'll need an XY position for each one of them. So if we're thinking ahead, there's other things we might have later, like if we're going to do combat, if we're going to do how much damage we are, our strength, for the other who do D&D, what all features do you have? You have intelligence, you have your charisma, you have this, you have your health, very important part for playing the game, right? How else, if you're alive or dead, is how much health you have. And then, of course, what items we're carrying, right? So, we're going to go off of that part. And I've pre-prepared some code I'm going to put in here. Boop, boop, boo, there we go. So, each player will have an X position and Y position, including ourselves. We're going to have our title, or the other person's title, like, hey, we have a wizard. We've already talked about having if you paid attention to the map, blocking our path later is a grumpy wizard. Well, there's the title, grumpy wizard. Description, we can give a full description of what he looks like and how menacing he looks. We've got a vegetable vendor that's sitting there to do selling us a box of strawberries, if you remember that part. Different things there. So here's where we can put all that information. So let's see, we're going to make all these public so we can get to them as we need them instead of having all of our gets and sets. So you can take that route if you want. Just remember, if you do that, these will be private instead of public, and then you have to have get and set features all down here as part of their class. And you would access them differently then, calling the get title rather than just title equals something. All right. So should look close to like what our map looks like. Let's find, where's our map block? There's the private versions, and then items here in count, and then it gets in sets. That's what I say. We're going to replace that in this one. Where'd you go? Here you are, player.java, right there. All right, so we're going to save him, and with him, we now have a place to put player data. And we're going to go over to our adventure. And up here, when we start making everything, we got our map, we've got our items. Right now, I'm going to come in here and just say player. I don't need a bunch of different players at the moment. I just need me. So P. P is going to be the main player. That equals a new player. I keep getting capital L every time I hit capital P. Somehow getting ahead of myself. Bad fingers. Bad fingers. Okay. And I used to blame the keyboard, but he's a nice Logitech keyboard, so that's not his fault. All right. So we have player P equals new player, and then we've got some stuff up here. We've got his X position, Y position as part of him now. P dot, let's say his X position equals X start. And P, my Y position, equals Y start. So with that now, instead of using this one here, we could use P's position. That's got to come in important at later. And so just the overall X position, Y position. So what I actually want to do at this point, any place where X position or Y position is used all throughout this thing, I want him to use this one instead. This is where we're modifying as we go and making it more efficient, maybe? Confusing, maybe? Yeah, okay. We'll take that one for now, but you'll get used to it. So we're looking at this player, this main player's position, being the X position, Y position. And I want to update anywhere where this is used to say P.X position instead of just X position. And so it has used quite a few places. Well, we have this handy feature. If you hit Control F and just about any Windows-based program brings up your find and replace window. So that says I want to actually do not X. I would say anywhere where there's something that says X position, change that to P.XPOS. And I'm going to say wrap the search. So it's going to go all the way through. And, well, I've already got it in one place. If I do it again, it's going to look kind of freaky. So what I'm going to say is I'm actually going to say, let's say find and replace. If I say, well, find. All right, here's the first place that X position is used. And I want to change it to P.X position. So as I say, this button here, replace find. It's got to change him. See what he did? He's now X.POS, and he went to the next one that he found. Over here. So here's the first one, and here's the second one. So I can do that again, making sure it's only replacing what I want him to replace. Here. And he goes further down. Yes, that was the one we're going to change. That one we're going to change. That one we're going to change. That one we're going to change. Yes. Oh, okay, where'd you go? I moved my mouse. Move it when I'm not looking. That one. It's just that one now. Oh, there's one behind the replace window. That's what was up. So we keep doing this. Alright, we'll have to go back and fix something here as it does it. Well, this is an internal exposition. Oh, this is inside this function. And this is where it read in the exposition and Y position. He needs to stick him on the map. And this is the items exposition Y. This has nothing to do with where my player is. So this one I don't want to replace. So, in this case, I'm going to hit. Move over here where I can keep an eye on you. This time I'm going to hit just find. I do not want to replace this one in this function. Wait, I didn't get ahead of myself earlier, did I? Let's go back and check. Nope, okay. I was doing good. So I'm going to say find. Don't replace that one, or that one, or that one. And this is still inside the other init function. I don't want to replace those either. I just keep hitting find where it will move on down, move on down. Don't do that. When it back up to the very start, and it's coming down, this one I do not want to replace. And now it's back to where I started with my p.x position. So I don't want to replace that one either, because if I did, it would look like that. p.x position. Because it took what was xpos and replaced it with p. And we already had a p. So Control Z. Well, there we go. And so that did all of those. So now we want to do the same thing with, guess what? Y position. And we're going to replace that with the words p.y position. So if I say find, it finds my first one here at the p.y position. Don't do that one. So find the next. This one, yes, we want that one. Replace. And the next one there. Show items. Yes, we're going to pass him that. And as long as we're in here checking our position to see if we could go east or west and modifying our position on there, yes. And doing the map positions. I'm going to show item again. And now we are back inside the init function. Don't use him. Okay. And we know from the other one we didn't find any more from that point out. So we got to close. And we are now, okay, no red stuff. All right. We're going to wait a minute, and we're going to test this to see if we screwed anything up. So we play, all right, I'm still at the city gate, and we're referencing p.x position, p.y position, the player's exposition Y position. So if we go east, go south, go west. All right. And it is also accessing the items in that location properly. So it is using our location to find those. And that's the one that's getting updated as we say east, west, north, south, whatever. So it's not still pulling up the old reference. All right. So with that, we can come up here. These are antiquated. We don't need them anymore. We're just going to use this and this for now. I'm saying for now because that will actually get replaced later. Hang on. Yeah. We'll get there. Probably next video. All right. So that proves we do have a player set up. So now what we want to be able to do is when we get to an item such as right here. There's a box of strawberries or the old wagon wheel. I want to say pick up this item. So that means I need a new function. A new choice of things to do, not just north, south, east, west now. What can I use? North, south, east, west. How about another case? Let's look at using the word get. So if I'm there, I can say get box of strawberries, get shiny dagger, whatever it says is here. I can pick that up. Well, they may also say get. So let's give them that option. Because I'm giving them the choice earlier. Capital E, lowercase, big E, lowercase east, uppercase east, depending on how proper of an English person you get. English major typing this in and running it, you know. What else may I also do? Well, how about G? And go ahead and do the uppercase G. So now, in all of these cases, it's going to run whatever code we put down here. But we need them to enter more words, because what is it we want them to get? Here's where it starts to get even more interesting. We're having to parse the language. This is think of how your chatbots work. When you need support from somebody and it says go online and use our little chatbot down here, talk with our AI, whatever. And so you're typing in words. It now has to break out things and start saying, what are you talking about? Let me find a noun. Let me find a verb in here. And oh, here's a little keyword. I understand what representative means. No, I'm not listening to one of those. Let's keep prompting you with something else. And so when I tell you, did you try rebooting your computer? And then you type yes or no. And oh, you said yes. Oh, you said no. Parsing those out of your answers. So let's see what we're going to have to do for that logic. All right, so looking back up to the top, when we first asked for the choice, and it's like, okay, we set our choice to nothing, and then we give them our prompt. Just like, here, let me do my little magic here again. There, get my head out of the way. So we come up and we ask for our choice. And then we prompt with our where we are, when we set our title. That's what we didn't set. We prepared choice. We created choice. Okay, now we show our title and our description of our position. We list all the items that are there. And then we said, okay, now we're waiting for your command. And we read choice in from the keyboard. So do the next line from our scanner, and that goes into choice. I'm going to replace all of that with a little bit of new code. And so what we're going to do with the new code is, okay, we still have our choice up there. And let's see, from there, let me keep choice. Make sure, I want to make sure I don't screw too much up. So it's like, all right, here, we're going to change. So, instead of showing this part, it's actually right here. I'm going to change some stuff. Everything that's above stays the same. Instead of saying command and reading in the command, I'm now going to give a command. I just thought this would be funny if Princess Bride or something. I'm waiting. You know, he's waiting for you to do something. And waiting until you type it in. Okay. We're going to take that line and read into line again. Kind of sounds like when we're reading our files, right? So we're going to read our line. And we've got data. Remember our array of data and stuff, and we're going to split our data. But this time we're not doing it by the comma. Because when you're typing in, what is separating things as you're typing? What separates words? A space. So what if we split it between the spaces? Well, what am I saying? Like get shiny dagger. How many words do we have? There's 2 spaces, so it's going to split at each one, and you've got 3 different words. I want to handle things with like, okay, get, okay, that's the command. Shiny dagger is what I want it to get. So I only want 2 things out of here, but I only want to split it at that first space. I don't want to split with all the different spaces. I just want to split at the first one. So what can we do with that? Well, we could split them and then come back and use the first one so that data sub 0 can go into our command, and that's where we're going to switch on it down here, you know, our choice, whatever, and so we're going to use choice is going to be data sub 0 just to do our work with. So what command are we using? But if we give extra words after a space, I want them all to say one string. If you look at the split right here, what this one's doing with that 2, use this, and I only want 2 things to come out. So after the first one, I'll have this. So before the first space goes into 0, after the first space goes into 1, I'm only going to have 2 pieces. So if there are extra spaces, it's got to keep them as one string at data sub 1. So data sub 0 here is our choice now. Instead of choice being the entire line, like up here. So we're going to take all that, kiss it goodbye, and replace it with all this part right there. So now we have choice, and we have the ability to get something. What are we going to get? Now, it's interesting again. If we look at get, our last thing we need to do over here is do a break, right? So things in between. Well, if we look, we know where we are on the map. So we're going to reference some things of map. And we're using p dot x position, p dot. P dot y position. Now, how do we know if there's anything in that block to even pick up? He has a count of items, right? And that is stored under, where are you? Not the max items. Wait, but what are you doing? That's not there. It was in the wrong place. Item count. So first thing we want to look at is if that item count is what? Greater than 0. Actually, if it's, let's say if it's equals 0, not equal, no. You know what would have happened then? What happens with this? That equals right there. That's going to set item count to be 0. You want him to be 0? Okay. Oop, he's 0. Yes, that worked. That's true. No. Remember, we want to do equals. So if the atom count at this location where we currently are is 0, then there's nothing you get. Dot out dot Franklin. See nothing. To quote Sergeant Schultz, if you've ever watched Hogan's Heroes, if you haven't, go find it and watch it. Okay, there, that's free. So, if there's nothing there to get, there's nothing there to get. Otherwise, we've got some work to do. Okay, so first thing we need is we're going to capture that other part, everything else. So that goes into a string, and let's just call it stuff. It's something we're trying to pick up. It's, yeah. All right. Sometimes the hardest part of programming is coming up with the name of a variable. What are we going to call this? The Fred. I don't know. We got to call it every variable something, and the lazy guys always start with X. Now, for us, X is important. It's dimensions, X and Y dimensions. Okay, that makes sense for having X, but we need other names for variables, so make them meaningful. If you make your variables meaningful, you'll kind of know what is going on just reading the code. That's what we're trying to do here. All right, so stuff, and we need that other half of the data. Well, yeah, that was data. All right, but which part of the data? 0 was the command. Everything else in that first position. There's our data. Now, normally if we wanted to work this out, we could write our pseudocode out, and if I had a marker board behind me or something, I could mark on it and stuff. But here with the video, I'd have to type it anyway so you could see it. So we're just going to pseudocode part of our code up here at a higher level thing, and then if it's high level function, we'll go and actually make a separate function to do that. But keep this a simple read. So now we're trying to take words. Now we've got to go look in that array over here. Remember, we can track it by the index, like we did of putting it on the map. But now we're interacting with a human. We're not computer-to-computer parts. We're interacting with a human. The human's not. I'm not going to know him by his index. As a player, I have not seen the data files, so I don't know. Oh, well, that's the third one on the list. So here, get number 3. We don't know number 3. Who's number 3? The software needs to know the number 3. We know it by the words. So we're going to have to do a translation here somehow. We've got to go find that string of words somewhere in that list and get the index of it, because that's what we're going to put, that index into our inventory. Just like we put the index on the map, we're going to put that in our inventory. Because you see how see our inventory part here looks just like our inventory in a map block, and that's the idea. How we handle them there is how we're going to handle them as a player. But we have to know the numbers. We don't know the number. So we've got the string of whatever they say, shiny dagger or box of strawberries, whatever it is. But I need the index of that thing. And what data type is that index? They're always integers for the indexes. So we're going to declare me a new integer, and that's the atom index, atom IDX for short. So, and what's it going to be? Well, to get that, I said we have to go find him in our array. So I'm going to say find, and he's going to find that in our items list. But what is he that he's going to find in the list? Whatever the name is and stuff. How do we do that? Don't worry about it yet. We'll come back to that. So that's what we're going to use this name right here as a placeholder. So he'll get there later. So, all right. Now we need to say, is that item? I could have said, pick up the sharp sword. The sharp sword. Okay. The sword is a good thing. It's number 15, let's say. But is it in the square? I can't just pick up something that's halfway across the map. I have to look at, okay, it's right here. All right, so I've got the index of the one I'm looking for, and I need to see if it's here. So I'm going to say here, find by index. So I'm going to see, the first one I found by passing the name. Find the index because I gave you the name. Now I'm going to say you can find by the index here, item index, the one we just created. Okay, here's the index of the item I want to know. Is he now at my X position, Y position? Guess we don't know how to do that yet. We'll do those details later. We just need to find him. And now we got to see, he should return either a true or a false. Let's see. Now if we remember what we stored at in the map block was the index that pointed back to the other guy over here. We're not getting straight to the title and whatever by trying to find him. So when we pass him the index here, we're going to find this. This one finds the index of the item off the main list. We got to see if that index is also at this location. And then we got to compare the two to see. So this is going to return another index. Okay, so what that's going to do, let's make him actually do, okay, I'm going to call it item check. We're going to go and it's the item here. If so, what local index. So if he is there, I need to know which one of the items he is, because we can have more than one. So actually remember at the vegetable vendor spot. Let me pull that guy back up here. Oh, I just got the city gate one showing as a guy here. But our items.csv at 1.2 we have the box of strawberries, and at 1.2 we have the old wagon wheel. Now you've got two things sitting here. That's going to get confusing. What if we take the box of strawberries by the wagon wheels here and this is getting a little complicated, isn't it? Let's worry about picking up a single thing first. We'll worry about multiples as we go. Have to do that check to find it. Let's see now. So if our item check is greater than or equal to 0. So that's, in other words, we found him, he's there, and it's either index 0, 1, 2, 3, whatever, so he's going to give me something. What I expect to happen here when we do the writing of the code, if it's not there, we'll return a -1. Because we need it, we need to count 0. So it can't just be 0 or 1 if 0 is a good index, right? And if you have one item, it's going to be index 0. It might be at index 1, 2, 3 if we have more than one. So what can we return if it's not there? We can only return one thing from a function. So we're going to do a special code, return a -1. And you'll see that when we actually write that part of the code. So we say if the item check, meaning that the item is there, and it does have a local code, and that the item index, the one that we're looking for, is greater than or equal to 0. That should be a good thing, isn't it? So we're going to find stuff. Okay. All right, so we're going to say if it's there, and we also did find one. So if either of these things come back with a -1, in other words, means something's off. Either it's not here when you're saying to find it, or that item doesn't exist to start with. So we're gonna skip out. But should it actually be there, right where we're expecting, we want, well, what do we want to do? We want to pick up whatever that item was, because this is the index from the main list, like number 3. That's what we want to get. So we're going to reach up here, grab number 3, and bring him in. And I'm going to let him know. So not out that one. Boop. You now have the percent. No. I'm doing a print line, so I'm going to do it this way. And what is it? Hey. Stuff. Yeah, let's go ahead and end our sentence. Hey. We've picked it up. That's going to add it to our inventory. But what else do we need to do? Now, when we pick up something, we understand what we're doing. We're transferring it from the ground into our hand or into our backpack, right? But right now, the map still has it in his inventory. The map has it, and we just added it to ours. So we need to also say it's no longer on the ground. So we're going to remove it from, well, what do we want to remove? Well, whatever that item was, using the index, because remember, we're telling the computer, so we can use this part. Talk to people, we use the stuff word. Talk to the computer, we have to do it by the item index. All right. Where are we removing it from? Well, the map block where we are. We already verified it was at this map block. So where are we? We are now P, the player, is X position, and P dot Y position. Oop, yeah. All right. Now, what happens if it's not there? Yeah, I can come back with another line here and say, hey, guess what? There's no stuff here. Stuff being whatever it said. There's no shiny dagger here. That was over yonder, remember? So whether you say to pick up something that doesn't exist, or you say to pick up something that exists, but not right here. That's how we wind up at this location. And let the user know it ain't working. So using keywords that they say in their typing, we're pulling out words, and we're sticking them back into things as we're carrying on the conversation. And we're finding out other stuff about that thing that they said up here to do it. All right, so in this process now, look what we need to do. We need to figure out how to find things in the main index. We need how to find things on the map given that index. We need to figure out how to add it to our inventory and how to take it away from the map's inventory. Now, thinking of the future, if we can pick something up, what else can happen? Right, we can drop it. So if we drop it, we're going to be doing some of these things in reverse. We're going to have to also figure out how to add, or say drop something, which will remove it from our inventory and add it to the ground. Those parts will come, so we'll get there. First, we got to figure out all this stuff first. So let's see. I'm going to say first, by doing it this way, once again, we can come down here and say, create me a method find. Create me a method find by index. Create me a method called pickup, and create me a method that says remove. Now those exist. We don't have any errors there. Scanning down here, we've got some blank things that we need to fill in the code for. Woohoo! Lucky us. Alright, so if I'm going to try to find an item, given its name from the main items list. Let's see. Take away this to-do stuff. That's what we're working on. And we're going to say, first of all, we're looking through, and we're going to, what are we going to return? And we're going to return the index of the thing that we find. Put him down here so I can tell he's doing what I want him to do. So I need first an index. And after we guys scan through something, well, what did I say I wanted to do if we don't find something? Let's assume we don't find it first. So I'm going to set him actually the -1. Because being an index of our array starts with 0. So we're going to start off the map and see if we find it anywhere. Okay. Since we're going in a loop and we know how many items we have, right? For our items list. I mean, don't do we? We kept a counter when we loaded it in the array, but that was a local variable. We didn't store that at the big level. So now what? We got to figure that out, don't we? So that means we need somewhere up here an overall thing for our count. Now, did my init here, actually here is where we added our items. It's not returning anything yet. Ooh, what if I do this? Int item count. All right, I'm going to have this function, when it's done, tell me how many total items it read in, so I can now have that up at my main level. All right, so then when I call that, I go down to my init function down here. This is the one, item file, this is that. He's no longer going to be void. He's going to return an integer. That integer is going to be this guy right here. So last thing in here. And I can do this. Finally. So no matter what, if it finds something else, that's the way, if it catches an error in here, it says file not found, it will still return this instead of crashing item count. That goes with the try and the catch. So after anything happens, still return my number of items. And so that comes through here. All right. Now we get item count at this point right here. There we are. Now, when I am moving, or I go to get, there it is. I go to get the item index, I'm passing items and my stuff. Ooh, I need the item count as well. I need to send item count to my find function. So come down here to that here. So items, and I need to include an int item count. So that makes him happy. The guy who called him here is happy. All right, we've got our API between these different functions working. All right, so index -1. Now, for int I equals 0, and I'm going to do this loop until I, that's our while I is less than, guess what? Item count. That's why we needed it. Right there. So I could, here's my loop control. I know when to stop. Plus. So what we're doing, we're going to look for a case. If, let's see, are we coming in here with stuff? If stuff dot. Now this stuff is a string. We don't really, you can't really do string if the string equals this with an equal sign in an if statement. Strings are special cases because it doesn't know what equals means for a string. Well, technically, yes, the string has got a memory address in it. What is a string? Technically, it's an array of characters. And so, how do you see if one array is equal to another array? You have to go through letter by letter, seeing if they're the same, or if one is less than the other alphabetically. Oh, hey, okay, now. ABC, ABD. Okay, ABC is less than ABD. It can't use the mathematical less than, greater thans when we're dealing with that. So, they wrote some special functions for us to go do that kind of comparison, and we can just call upon them. Right? Go figure it out. Especially if we look at this section equals. We've got different options here. Equals, and we say we can pass it another string to see if it's equal to this string, or another variable that's a string. This one here isn't equal to this, or whatever. We've got another good one here. Equals ignore case. What's that going to do for us? Well, if we looked at my atoms.csv file, look at this box of strawberries. What if they typed it in, get box of strawberries, but did it all lowercase? Or did it uppercase B, but a lowercase s? It's not equal. Unless we ignore the case. And so with that, lets him go do the changes we need to do. So equals, no, what? E, there we go. Bad fingers again. Equals ignored case. So if stuff equals, he's trying to be smart and add stuff in for me that, no, I don't want him to equal himself. What are we trying to find here? Okay, our atoms dot, which atom? We're looking through our whole big list. Remember, this is our whole atoms list. And our loop control is the I, our index. And if we're looking at stuff was, what are we trying to pick up there? Are we typing in the description of the atom or the title of the atom? That's the title that's showing to you. And so when you say to get it, well, that better be what we're checking against. So what we're saying is if it equals that, then guess what? Our final index is I. We found him. We're scanning through the list and we're incrementing I as we go down. Bing! Ah, here he is. Ah, we're at 3. Yay, we're 3. Here, return 3. So that's what he's going to return. Oh, wait, we don't want to return 0. We're going to return whatever index is. Now, if it goes through the whole list and reaches up to our atom count, I say if we have 3 atoms there, 0, 1, 2, and he doesn't find him, then index is still at -1. So if we send -1 back, it says we didn't find him. So we go back up here to where we're looking at this. So if atom index is -1, then right here, this and this, we're going to kick out. Right there, because both of these have to be true, but we didn't find him. So you typed in a atom that doesn't exist anywhere on the map. He wasn't in the map file. So out he goes, and we skip over and we say, oh, he isn't here. All right. Next, we're going to look at what's next. Oh, well, the atom check. What in the world are we doing with the atom check? That will be our next one. All right, for atom check now, once again, this is where it's going to look for the atom on the map at this position. There, X position, Y, wherever we are. That's where it's going to look. So let's go come down here, and we're going to find him. And that's based off of our X position, Y position. Right. So once again, same idea here. We're going to start with our int index equals -1. And we're going to return that index when we're done. But in between, let's see if we can find it. And with this one, let's see. Alright, let's see for that. It's kind of the same idea as the one below. We've got our atom index. We've got our X position, Y position. And we want to look on the map. Ooh, that's the part we need to. What if instead of actually passing it the X position, Y position, I pass him instead a map block. We're on map block. Whoa, not a map block. No such thing exists. And we'll have to go out and change that in the process as well. And so we're looking at index. We're going to do the same thing here. But this time it's not just the atom count. Whose atom count are we looking at? Map blocks. Atom count. And we're just still saying, well, actually this case, that stuff equals the title, because now, sorry, I'm having to deal with my cat at the same time. It's a Skimbles. Say hi to Skimbles. Or Skimble Shanks. He wants to crawl around my desk right now. You love me? Well, that's all. I'll pick him up and hug him, then he runs away. He was fighting to get in the door a few minutes ago, and now they let him in. No, don't hug me. Okay. So stuff equals the title. Remember, we're looking at the computer stuff now. We're not interacting with the person part. So this is, instead of stuff, we've got the atom index. We're looking at the atom index. The X equals map block dot. What can we do? What can we do? Atoms here. That is our list. And which one are we looking at? The current index. So the index we're looking for is the same as this one, and we're looping through. In this case, we're looping through map blocks list. So we've already looked through the master list, and we found, okay, yeah, here he exists. Now we're looking through this list to see if he exists in the short list of the map block. Once we do, we say, okay, there he is. He's item number 0 in this list. He's 4 over here, but we need to make sure that this index is pointing to 1 over here. So with that case, we find him and we return that index. So we're finding it by the index in the map block. There. Search map block for given atom index. There. With a comment, well, maybe we'll remember what we did next time. Down here, this find, let me go ahead and tell us. This is find item in master list by name or title. And that TM there. There, that's better. That's what this function does. That's what that function does. So with that, we get something. He returns an integer that will either be -1 if it doesn't find it, or something else if it does. All right, so now map block, we changed that, find by index. So when we come back up in our code, you see, hey, that doesn't exist because we changed this. What we're going to pass in now is the map block at position. So we didn't have to pass just the positions and the whole map. We're only going to one position, so here, let's just go ahead and grab that block off the map and pass that. And so we got all the data we need right there. Yay. All right. So we're going to atom check. Yes, we found it. If it's greater than or equal to 0. Yes, we found it in the master list with the atom index. All right. Now we pick it up or we remove it. So we're going to pick it up. Let's see. Let me search through my notes over here. Show map. Show VCs. Must be down. Yeah. All right. I've got a function placeholder for doing a pickup right here to pick things up. Pretty simple, actually. What do we need? I need my inventory count to go out up and stick it in the, we have the index from the main file, remember, and so it's just like we just picked up the atom. We picked up his index, and I'm moving the index around. So p dot. Oh wait. Oh, I didn't get p in here with it. I need something else to come in here with me. A player E. So send me in to pick it up. I'm going to pick it up, put it in my stuff. So p dot, what? Atoms. So my atoms. That's not in the map block. It's atoms here because it's been in here, but my atoms. So p's atoms. And which one? Well, the index is going to depend on what my atom count is. Remember that how we added things to the other one. So p dot atom count. It starts at 0. If I've got 0 atoms, p's a 0. If I'm adding one to my inventory, put him in 0, and then increment my count to 1. Which means, oh, how did I say it? We'll do that, increment him to 1 after I use it. See, the part of plus plus is, remember that last part. And what is he? We're going to say he equals atom index. So if we picked up atom number 2, number 2 goes into my atoms, and I increase the number of atoms. That's all I need. Now, in case somebody needs that, no, I already had atom index before, so that's really all I need right there, I think. If we need something else, we'll deal with it later. So, because I said pick up atom index, yeah. But now I said I'm going to send my player with it. So that's a little different. So I should have do that. I get the stuff. Ooh, now we got to take him off the map. Remove. I have to remove him from this position. And what's going to be my best way to do this again? I'm going to pass him that map block instead of the position. Oh, oh shoot. Got it in the wrong mode. Okay. Alright. I'm going to pass the index to remove from this. Yes, there. Map PX position, PY position. So I'm going to remove, go down here to my remove function. I just changed this now to a map block. I call it map block. Because that's how we've been dealing with the others. We'll just follow that along with it. Alright. Removing. Let me go through my notes. There's a lot of code over here. Where'd you go? System all initialize. Okay, must have been up above. Okay, I'm still finding it. Give me a moment here. Let's define, find. I'm finding the find functions. Remove. There we go. And I would say remove the index. And I did give it the, that's the one I want. All right, so what do we have? And just like the others, I had an index. Did I already have a find by index with my map block here? Yeah, well, but I was passing it. Is that who I'm using? Yes, that's what I want. Remember this function we already wrote down here? He's going to go into this map block and find the map block's place. If I'm holding item number 2, where is it in my list for my map block? I'm holding item number 2 at this map block. But where is number 2 in this list? That's where I've got to take him out of. So, we're going to say my index, where am I? There. Index equals, I'm going to do this find by index function again. That's why we write a function. We could do the same thing multiple places and multiple times from multiple different places, as long as I pass him the same information he needs. All right, I've got my item index. See, right up here, I got my item index, so I'm going to pass him in. And my map block, that's what else he needs. I've got the map block. Pass him in. When he finds the guy he needs, then he will put that into an integer back, and that's the integer inside the map block that we need. All right, so at the index, we find that, and I'm going to pull something else back up here. Okay. Now, we have to consider the possibility that we're passing in a value that's not there. We should have already done all of our safety checks, and he should be there. But just in case, we're going to say if index is greater than or equal to 0, that means he found the thing we were looking for. Now, if it found it, we have to take stuff out of the array. Did we do anything deleting off of an array already? We didn't delete from an array. That was my other class, data structures. But let's say we've got an array. 5 things in this array. 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. If I'm keeping an account that says I've got 5 things, but I need to delete the one in the middle. I don't care what order they're in. How can I delete one of the items out of the middle that gives me still 4, but there'll be 0, 1, 3, 4? I skip number 2 because we deleted them. And if I go through my array, 0, 1, wait, what do I do about this guy? Do I just wipe out all of his data and leave a little chunk there? If I know how many I've got, I can take the last one in this list. I find okay, right here's my guy that I want to delete. I need to take them off my list. So I need to take this guy out. Why don't I just take the last guy and stick into him and then say, okay, I don't have 5 anymore, I only have 4. So when I look, I can 0, 1, 2, 3. The value is still in 4 that I copied into 2, but I'm not going to look at it. I'm going to say, hey, I only have 4, so look at 0, 1, 2, 3. Don't look at number 4. He's not there anymore. Yeah, he stays on there, but he's not there. If I drop another one, I take 0 out. Oh, I've dropped this guy. Okay, take the one in 0, 1, 2, 3. Take 3 and copy into 0 and say, oh, I only have 3 now. 0, 1, 2. 3's not there. He's not there. So how are we going to do that? Okay, let's take our map block, the items here, and we have the index of the guy we're going to delete. Or let's say that's the item to be removed. Up in this case. That's how we remove something from a map block as we're picking it up. So to remove it, picking it up, so that's his index. We're going to make him equal that same map blocks. Well, let's go get one of the other items that is in the last position. So what is our item count here? We access him by map block that item count. Okay, so that gets, if there's 5 items, hey, that's number, I've got 5. But wait, what's the last one? 0 to 4. So instead of number 5, the last one is 4. So we're going to take the item count, we minus 1. So instead of looking at the 5th, number 5 element, we're looking at the 5th element, which is number 4. Index 4. All right. So we're taking the value that's the last one in the list and sticking them into the block that we're dropping. Step 1. Now, we need to say that last guy here, whoever that was, just to be safe, let's go ahead. We're setting him to 0. Or yeah. We can make him -1, actually. Yeah. With a -1, means he doesn't exist. He's not there. That will not be a good element later, should we get into him. Now, what else do we need to do now that we took one away? We need to say decrease our item count. We don't have that many anymore. We got rid of 1. I'll take him away. So, we find the index. We set the last element into that index. We clear that last one and decrement the count. And that's how we remove an item from a map block. All right. So with this, then we should be able, we find it in the main, we find it in the map block. If those both exist, we pick it up, put it in our inventory, and take it off from the ground. And that's basically it. Now, how do we know we have it? Well, one more function. We need to add another command. And I'm going to go find that command. Let's see. Everyone here probably scan through again. That's our movements. That's our drop. And, all right. So as we're letting the user type in different things for their choice, we need to check our inventory. So one way to do that, how about giving them a choice to type in an I for inventory, or you can type the whole word, inventory, if you really want to do that. I will suffice. So if we do that, we want to say, okay, you are carrying, and we're going to go through a loop to see what all we're carrying. All right, and so we're going to, so I'm going to change these up to like what we're used to. Okay, or A, and actually, so I is our index we're dealing with, right? So we're going to start at 0, and we're going to look at our list of items. Now, remember, our list of items gives us the indexes of the items we are actually carrying. So, we're going to look through our item count. If we have one item count's going to be 1. And we'll start at 0, and as long as we're less than 1, because that's looking at our index, it starts at 0. So we go through up to how many ever we have. So if we have 10 things in our backpack, it's 0 through 9. And so we look at that guy in our items 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 through the loop up until we get to item count. He's the index that goes back into items. Our one big data list. Here's where all the names are. We want to get to his name. I've got his index. I've got this index. I got this. Okay, look him up in the list. Okay, number 3. Oh, your title. You're the shiny dagger. And then we look at the next one and get his title from the list. And the next one's title from the list. So that should, right there, spit out what we've got. Let's see. Do we have any red? I don't see any red. So I'm going to do a save all, and I'm going to run him. Boop. We're standing at the city gate out of the city. There's a road that leads to the east. There's a shiny dagger here. That's what I want to do. Hit shiny dagger. And if it works, it'll say you now have the shiny dagger or something along that way. If it doesn't, be prepared for this little error printout. You now have this shiny dagger. City gate. You're standing at the main gate out of the city. There's a road that leads to the east. It says command. Ooh, wait. We changed some stuff, but only in one place. We didn't update it. All right. Wait, change time. Remember all that new stuff we added up here? We changed up after the show items. I said choice here and then show items. Oh, this stuff right here. That. I'm going to copy that. Go down after our while loop. Or it's still inside our while loop. Oh, this part right there. I'm going to replace with that. But, oh, see, it's lining up some stuff here. Line, what is that? Line already exists. I say it's a string, line, string data. Those already exist. I'm just going to reuse them. I don't need to redeclare them. Okay. So I don't have to even redeclare that part at all. So he was, okay, so data exists, line exists. That's what we're going to do. Let me get rid of extra spaces we don't need. So that gets a new choice. It comes to the top. Says while choice not equal to X, do this. Come back. Then while the choice isn't to X, go back and do this. Okay. Alright. Save all. Let's try this again. Run. And once again, we have a shiny dagger on the ground. Now if I go east, there's nothing there. East or west. I go back west, there's still a shiny dagger on the ground. Alright, get shiny dagger. You now have the shiny dagger. CD gate. Here. Okay, let's go east. Let's go back west. Remember how we go with it, and there was a shiny dagger. There's no shiny dagger. Aye. What should this do? Cross your fingers. You're carrying shiny dagger. CD gate. Okay. That kind of looks like... Am I carrying the CD gate? Yeah. Let's go add something off of that. Where would be good to add a blank? I always want a blank line before I show where I am. So it's a good little divider. Well, 2 places I need to add that. You know which 2 places? Ones we already explored here. So when it says here to put the title, why don't I put this little guy like this? A new line character before I do my title. Alright, let's also come down here. And right here it is again. So now it should give me a nice little separation. I mean, you got to do something up here. This is the very first time. Put an extra line the first time. That way I can tell where I am too. Alright, now run it. We're going on an adventure. City gate. Alright. So now if I go east, so I get a little blank line in there. I go west, I get a blank line. Hit shiny dagger. I had shiny dagger. Done inventory. Carrying shiny dagger. And now there's a nice space between that and the city gate. And he's still waiting for us. East, east, south, south, west. Ah, here's a box of strawberries and an old wagon wheel. Now, this is a place where there's 2 items. If my code works right. Well, it's easy to take the last one and leave the first. But what happens if I take the first one? I'm not going to do that right now. Okay. If I take the first one, it should have the second move up to the first place. This is a big test. Get box of strawberries. You don't have the box of strawberries. There's an old wagon wheel here. It moved the wagon wheel up. And if I take my inventory again, what happens? I now have the shiny dagger and a box of strawberries. Yay! Alright, so that gets us through doing our adding items to our inventory. And when I get back from my trip, we shall be doing more how to drop an item then, and which will add it back to the ground, whatever map block we're in. Since we've got this part working, we should be able to reuse a lot of code and just twist some things a little bit along the way. We don't have to create it from scratch. We've got something like that we can now take and manipulate for our new needs. So get ready. We'll be back. Get your code up and working to this point. You can watch this video as many times as you need to. So have fun, and we'll see you later.